Hallo Leute, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a video on my whole story of being a polyglot, considering I do make comments on several YouTube videos about polyglots that I thought I would make a story time, or sort of like a, pretty much story time like of my life as a polyglot type thing, because I figured not a lot of people know about this community of polyglots, and where I'm from, we consider that multilingual, so more than 5 languages is considered multilingual, or even more than 3 languages is really weird, because nobody in America is really, like, trilingual, not a lot of them are. So I decided to start this one a little bit different. We're going to go back to the beginning of my language learning, back when I was about 7 or 8, which was a while ago. I think I was around 8 or 9, or maybe even 7. But I did start learning languages fairly young. I always had a fascination for languages and cultures in general, because I always think it's really cool, because I know there's not just, America is not just the whole world in one, obviously. America is actually not that great of a country, but that's a tangent for another video. So I thought I will do more of a kind of Q&A, my story type thing, that I kind of came up with some questions that I thought would be pretty common to ask someone who is a polyglot like myself, and what exactly that is, and, you know, who is, and all the fun stuff. So we're going to start from the beginning, and my second language that I actually did learn besides English, which honestly I use quite often to this day, is Spanish. And I actually started learning it when I was in elementary school, because in my hometown, we actually did have a requirement to learn Spanish from like kindergarten to 4th grade back when I was in school. At least my school in my hometown. Granted, I'm not in the same town anymore, obviously. But when I used to live in a smaller town, much smaller than where I live now, we had a requirement in school to learn Spanish. And so in elementary school, we had to learn Spanish from kindergarten to 4th grade. Granted, I did not show up at that elementary school till 2nd grade. So I started learning it along with everyone else. Granted, I did have some Spanish background before, like maybe on television or something that I might have heard, or maybe like from watching Dora the Explorer when I was like younger. But that's really all I had for background, and it came along pretty simple to me for a while there until I got much older, but that's a different kind of thing. So that was my second language that I learned. I still do use it to this day, considering I do live in America, and I do get clients that are, granted, I am a hairstylist for those of you new to my channel. Hi, I'm Sarah, I'm a hairstylist. But I have gotten clients that were, you know, harder, that couldn't speak English very well, and it does come in very handy to be able to speak to them in their native language and understand them very well. Or have someone maybe help you along the way, because my Spanish is not as good as it used to be. Definitely not. It's drastically decreased. But I can still understand it very well. So the number one question I feel like I should definitely answer is, how did you find out that you're a polyglot? Fairly recently, actually the beginning of 2018, I didn't realize that there was a community of people like me who speak several languages and will probably eventually speak maybe 10 languages in their lifetime. Granted, at one point in time, I did speak that many languages, but then I dropped a lot of them. And I kind of figured out why. That's a different story. There's so many stories I can tell you guys for a different video. But how did I find out that I was a polyglot? Lena Vasquez, who is a YouTuber on YouTube, is a polyglot herself. And I actually really love her videos. I didn't ask her if it was okay to mention her name in this video, but I thought, why not mention her name now? Because I would definitely recommend her videos, because I do watch them all the time. Pretty much every upload that I've seen of hers, I watch, because I've subscribed to a channel. So I actually found out through her videos kind of what that is, and like how exactly that happens, and like, or not really how exactly it happens, but like that there's a community of people just like me that are polyglots and that speak several languages. Probably not very fluently, but some of them, like, they can carry on a conversation, you know, just a very basic conversation, which is what I can mostly do in a lot of these languages, maybe besides Russian. So, and maybe like a few others, but now let's get into specifics as to, I just wanted to share this bit of science information that I actually found very interesting as to how rare a polyglot is, but anybody can be a polyglot. So the percentage for people in the world that are polyglots is less than 1%, which I don't know exact numbers considering there's like billions of people in the world. But I will say so I think maybe so if it's less than 1% of the world, it's probably about 700 people. Or like maybe even a little less than that. If any of you guys know the correct number for that, please let me know in the comments below, or just kind of, yeah, just comment down below. So I'm gonna just tell you guys what a polyglot is. So a polyglot, apparently, according to dictionary definition, which I do not have the actual definition in my hands right now, but I did actually memorize it. So it's someone who speaks more than 5 languages fluently. Whereas I do technically consider polyglots to be like myself. You may not speak the language well, but for me, I feel like a lot of people who are polyglots like myself, I know that they can probably respond in the language that they are hearing, but they have an easier time understanding. Now, correct me, those polyglots who are watching this video, if I'm wrong. But for my learning, I found it very easy to understand what people say. Like, I mean, I could listen to a German recording right now, and I actually do that all the time. I listen to recordings of many languages. I actually have listened to Italian recordings, and granted, I started learning Italian 9 years ago as of yesterday, which was Thanksgiving Day, the 22nd of November. So I actually started learning Italian back in that time, and I still remember it, and it's all coming back to me. I'm actually still relearning the language as we speak. Well, not really as we speak, but like in the process of this video. So I do remember it a lot. It's kind of weird because I do speak several languages, but I can understand a little bit. Even if I'm taking my Russian lesson, I can definitely pick and choose like how I can understand things, which is easy for me to understand what to say when I want to respond to somebody who speaks said language. So there's that. And then, so a polyglot would be someone who speaks 5 or more languages. Now, the term of fluency for this, not a lot of people know this, and of course a lot of people, when they hear, oh, you're fluent in German, let's say, and granted, yes, I would probably be considered fluent in German, but someone who is fluent in German, there's different degrees of it, and not a lot of people know that, especially not where I come from. People are like, oh, well, if you're fluent, you know everything, every word in the language. No, that's not true, and here's why. Because every European language, or even language in general, has a fluency scale from A1 to C2. So if you are, like me, about C1 fluency, and that's very fluent, like that's almost native level. C2 is native level. A1 is just very beginner. Like probably not even considered basic level. I'm not sure how that works, considering I do not administer tests like this. But in my exams that I have taken, depending upon like where and what I'm doing for a language, they have came up as either A1 to C2 level. And the majority of my languages that I would consider myself fluent if you were B2, because B1 is just slightly below that. And that's at the lower end of fluency. So C2 is like you are absolutely, you know, everything in that language, whereas A1, you don't know much, but you can comprehend some stuff. So that's what I consider fluent, and I'll make probably a whole video on that eventually, but that's what I consider fluent. So, next question is, what languages do you speak? And granted, I will have to probably count on my hands how many I speak. So I speak Spanish, Italian, French, German, God, what was the next one? Danish. I don't really speak Turkish anymore, but I used to. Danish, Swedish. Oh God, what was the next one? Okay, I'm on 7 right now. So I think I speak more than that. Swedish. Okay, there's another one. I can't remember the name, what it is. So it's Spanish, Italian, French, German, Russian. Okay, yeah, that's one I'm missing. Russian, Swedish, and Danish. I think there's also Icelandic in there as well. So I mean, I do speak 8 languages, but granted, Icelandic is no longer really offered on the Duolingo, and I don't even think it ever really was. But those are the languages I do speak. I actually speak more than that. I speak, I think, about 10 or so, or maybe even more. But that was back when I actually was really into languages, and granted, I still am into it now. So I do speak 8 languages, and I'll definitely make a video about why how I speak them. So, basically I actually did get a comment from my video that I made all in German last week, about why German, why the German language, and I'm gonna cover in this video. The German language to me is very, like, at home for me because I am of German descent. I am half German, or at least what I've been told, because I've never had a proper DNA test. But I am German. I come from Germans all the time. I mean, oh my god, that sounds so dirty. No, but I come from a German background, and my grandmother on my dad's side is full-blooded German. Was full-blooded German, so... yeah, and I do have a personal connection to that, considering I do love Germany, obviously. I mean, I kind of grew up eating very stereotypical German foods, which, I mean, that's a whole different thing, but I used to grow up eating a lot of sausages. That sounds really inappropriate, but you know what I mean. So, that's how I love German a lot. I also just love the people of Germany. I love the people. I love just, like, the culture in general, because it's, like, I feel like it's just very stereotyped, like, oh, Germans drink beer, oh, Germans drink coffee, which actually, scary story, come alive, my dad's side of the family is really big into drinking coffee, at least quite a few of them are, which is funny, because I never realized that was a German thing until I got older. I was like, you know, both sides of my family drink a lot of coffee, and I was like, is that, like, a German thing? And then, of course, I was like, maybe it is a German thing. Any of you native Germans out there, and I've also seen it in German films, like, is it even a true stereotype? I feel like they drink a lot of coffee there, because my dad's side especially is, like, coffee addicts, except for maybe my aunt. And she's a tea drinker, just like me, except I'm both. But anyway. So, how old were you when you learned Spanish? I think about 8 or 9, but technically I actually did have some background in that. So why languages? I would definitely say, this is another question, it's culture. I feel like you learn so much more about the culture if you learn a language. And you even get to learn more about the people and all that kind of stuff. And I honestly really love the learning languages, because then it's kind of like you can communicate in different ways. But granted, excluding someone in a language, of course I do that sometimes if I know if someone can speak any of the languages I speak. So I guess I can ask one of the better, or like answer one of the better questions. Being a polyglot in America, I feel like people would want to know what it's like, considering there are, like, there's not a lot, I don't think, in America that, at least not in the US, that are polyglots, because I definitely did some research into this. I'm not just making up numbers or things like that, but I did do some further research into this before making this video, and also recently. So, being a polyglot in America, it's very rare, and also I kind of hate it, because honestly, I can't exercise all my languages as much as I want to. Granted, I do exercise my languages every day, at least the ones that I want to exercise if I want to practice. So, yeah. And then, my favorite languages that I speak, and why, I would say that German and French and Italian, I feel like all of mine are my favorites. I can't really pick a particular one, but I will say my favorite ones to speak would be probably French or German. Why? I feel like they just sound very similar to each other, and I really like them, honestly. I used to really hate the French language when I took it in high school, but now that I've gotten out of high school and actually have gotten better at teaching myself how to speak it, I really like it. And I also really like Italian as well. I feel like I like it better than Spanish. To be completely honest with everyone, I really do like it better than Spanish. I actually really do like the Italian language. And Spanish to me is just blech, because I hear it every day. I actually do hear it every day, or at least a lot of the times during a week, because, I mean, I know people who speak Spanish on the daily, so, and therefore I speak it too, because if I want to, I can definitely speak, it's just it takes me a minute to figure out how to say things. So, I think I already covered this, but my nationalities are German, English, Welsh, possibly Scottish, possibly Italian, Danish, and, God, what was the other one? German, Danish, English, Irish, Welsh, and there might be some potential Italian or Scottish as well. So that is the end of this video, and yes, my hair is different now. I colored it a while ago, and granted this is going to be taken care of later. But that is the end of this video for now. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will be sure to make more videos based on this, and I don't know, whatever you guys want to see, I'm more than willing to do, as long as it's not like something that I don't want to do, which I will be more than willing to tell you I don't want to do it. So anyway, that is it. Auf Wiedersehen. A tutela. I will see you guys later, and until then, Auf Wiedersehen.